Hello, FJ here, and welcome to my Let's Play of Banished. Now, Banished is a city building game in a somewhat unique these days twist on the genre, in that all you do is build cities. It might sound a bit odd, but actually a lot of games have a certain amount of combat involved or town planning, and I love those games. But it's refreshing just to have a game where you just build cities. As you no doubt will see, that does make it easy. Citizens, I'm sure you'll find out, are quite capable of dying without being attacked by enemies or gribblies or bears. But there's still plenty of game. So let's have a look at it. Just generates. I've picked a large map, and in hard mode, so I can sort of better demonstrate the challenges you'll face. Because you start with absolutely nothing. What you see on the screen is sort of a barn, storage pile, and some houses, which is, I think, some animals, some chickens there, which is how you'll start if you start the game on easy mode. On hard mode, though, oh dear. We don't get very much at all. It's already winter, so we could be in trouble here. I'll go through the menus, which is probably a good way of showing you everything in the game. Let's just get the citizens doing something first, though. Get them to collect resources. There's 3 types of resource. There's wood from trees, stone from the rock things, and iron from these similar rock things. And you can collect those separately. You can just say grab everything in the area, which in this case, since we're probably going to need quite a bit of stuff, we'll just do a bit of an area just to get them doing something while I show you the menus. And you just drag the area and they'll hopefully go about their business, maybe. So onto the interface. The first one is the time controls, where you can speed it up to 10 times, which is quite useful because it takes quite a long time to build stuff. You see that they're just kind of wandering around pretty slowly there, or pause it if things get a bit hectic, which they do sometimes. The next one is your sort of tools and reports, as it says. It gives you critical information. Now, I'd like to keep a few of these windows open all the time. The first one is the general statistics, which is a good one. Gives you the town name. Someone's given it a very immature name, not sure who that was, but at least now I can call the citizens buggers. Gives you the amount of food, amount of firewood, that's food, logs, sorry, food, iron and stone. So we've got no iron or stone. We've got a bit of food, so we're not going to die immediately. This is tools and this is clothes, so we need all these things. Food to stop starving to death, and clothes to stop, and firewood to stop freezing to death. Which, since it's, I think I've picked the harsh climate, so even in early spring there's still a lot of snow on the ground. All we've got is this wagon, which has got a bit of firewood and food on it. So we need to begin building things. But I'll also show some of these other windows. This event log is quite handy too. We'll put that there so we can sort of see what's happening. Somebody's become an adult. These are adults, students and children. You don't get students until you build a school. But the children grow older and eventually start working. There's a nice map, which I like to have here. And then there's a jobs window, and this is quite useful, so I leave that open as well. Now these windows kind of stick. Other windows, like ones about people, where you have a sort of pin where you can pin them and keep them on the screen, or just have them follow the person around, and when you deselect them they will disappear. At the moment we've got 9 labourers, nobody doing anything else. We haven't really got any other jobs. The other things we don't need to bother about too much at the moment. There's some help, and this thing here is a increased priority thing, so if you want something built in before other things, because they seem to like concentrating on building roads. you can ask them to do that. First thing they need are probably houses. So with 9 people, we'll build, I don't know, a few houses for them. So we'll stick them down. It's because at the moment they've all got little house icons I was putting on the screen there. That's not really much use to. So we'll build some houses. Just click and build them. A nice little row there. Rotate and stick some more directly opposite. 5 houses should be enough for 9 people for now. Another thing that they do need is somewhere to put the resources, because this cart isn't going to cut it anymore. But I'll just carry on going through the menus. The next one is for roads. These are utilities, which I'll explain as we go along, but we're going to need a storage barn at some point, but crucially we're going to need a stockpile, so they can put all the resources they've collected down. Now when you select something to build, like I did these houses, you can actually sticky them and kind of keep tabs on how far they've got, which is quite a handy thing to have floating around. Screen does get a bit cluttered, but it's just useful to know what's happening, and it's very easy, I've found, to lose things when you go off and build something in the middle of the woods and then realise, oh, where is it? You have to sort of click around. There's 4, well, can be more or less, sections to the building. Firstly, they have to remove anything that's obstructing it, which in the house's case they don't have to do, and then they need sort of logs and stone in order to build it, and then since we haven't got any logs yet, they're not gonna get very far. And then they actually build it, and you need builders to do that bit. The first bit anyone can do, labourers, but also just all the other professions will help out moving stuff. The same with delivering any materials that are needed in the next phase, which only begins once the area's cleared, but the build phase you need builders for. It's useful to remember that, because you actually don't need builders all the time. So I'll put down a stockpile because nothing's going to happen otherwise, and it's probably best if I give it a decent size, but sort of build it in the open so they don't have to clear stuff out of the way. 10 by 10 is the biggest, and that's going to actually get in the way of a little bit of stuff. So as you can see there, they've got to remove 4 things. I think that will take priority because they can't build anything until they've got a stockpile. They have to sort of put things in somewhere. This cart we can remove once it's a stockpile to put all the stuff that's in there. So basically, while we do that, we can speed it up if we want. It's a good opportunity to have a butcher's around the menus. You can build roads, which makes them go faster. That's pretty useful. Stone roads obviously costing more. Bridges and even tunnels, pretty handy when you're on the mountainous maps. There's a market, which is quite expensive, but it's useful. It collects all the food and herbs and firewood and things like that in one place, so citizens just have to go to one shop. It's like a supermarket. Well, I guess the clue's in the name there, market. So they tend to eat more healthily when they do that. Otherwise, they just go to the nearest storage barn and get some food, or go to the nearest herbalist or woodcutter or whatever to get firewood or herbs. Quite later on, you get to build a trading post, which again is quite an expensive option. It has to sit on the river, the big river, which is this one here, nice. And occasionally people turn up and you can buy things like grain or livestock, which are very handy. If you start the game on easy, you get grain and livestock and you can make farms and pastures, which are a very efficient way of generating food. Unfortunately, we started the game on hard mode, so we get neither. In medium mode you get grain but not livestock. So we're going to have to find some food from somewhere else. We've still got a little bit there, so we're okay for a little while yet. I've given them quite a lot to chop down, but yeah, they're getting on with it, so that's good. I'll wait and see what, how many resources we have after building these houses before I try and do too much. It's always the case with these sort of games that if you try and build a million things all at once, then they get into a sort of production lock and end up not building anything because they haven't got the resources to do it. So it's a good thing to remember, is to have a good stockpile, a good reserve, as it calls it, of stuff. Carrying on through the menus, we have services. A well's quite important. It puts out fires should they occur. I've got disasters on, so they no doubt will. This uses quite a lot of stone, so I'll wait for a little while before building that. The schoolhouse is used to educate citizens. Now, this makes them more productive in the long run, but the important thing to remember about it is that normally in this game you're an adult when you're 10 years old. It's medieval, I don't think it's supposed to be. That's just how it was, I guess. And then you start working at that age and get married and have kids and all the usual adult type things. When you have a schoolhouse at 10 years old, you go to school for about another 8 to 10 years. So when you first build that schoolhouse, there'll be a gap of kids turning into adults. They'll turn into better adults when they actually do, but you have to bear in mind that you need a bit of a surplus workforce before you build that school, as you'll have to wait a while before you get any replacements should they die of old age or other things befall them. The next thing is a hospital, which actually doesn't do anything most of the time, but if they get infected with a disease, which is one of the disasters, then they'll be treated better and not infect other people because they'll go and sit in the hospital and get made all better. A town hall, I haven't actually built one of those, so I'm not entirely sure what it does, but we'll find out maybe later on. A chapel increases happiness. These bars here, the little hearts, say how healthy they are, and the little stars say how happy they are. At the moment they're deliriously happy and very, very healthy, which is good. It won't stay that way for long, I assure you. And the other thing is a cemetery, so that when people die they don't get too sad because they can go and look at their gravestones. Food production is rather useful. You can build crops and orchards and pastures, but only if you've got seeds or the livestock to do them, which in Hardmode I don't. Fishing dock is a useful one. I think I've managed to be quite a long way away from the water, which is not it's not too far. We've got sort of this area here that's watery, and we'll probably stick a couple of fishing docks down there. But the two things that I can do, which I'm pleased to see is quite nearby. We've sort of got forests near us, and with forests you can have hunters and gatherers who basically hunt the deer that are found in the forest and sort of gather herbs and berries and stuff that are in there. So those will be, I think, my first thing to buy in terms of food production. Resources I've already touched upon, but there's a variety of other things that you can do with these resources, as well as just build houses. A woodcutter makes firewood, which they need to not freeze to death, which is not good when that happens. A forester lodge is very useful. You sort of plonk it in a forest, or it doesn't even have to be in a forest to begin with, because they'll plant trees, chop them down, and replant them. So it kind of sustains a sort of circle of trees. And I think we've probably got room for 2 in the area, which is going to be pretty useful. Even one down here might be better, just to keep us stocked in wood, because they really get through the wood. The next thing is a herbalist. These also go in the forest, so along with the hunters and the gatherers and the foresters, they can sort of be in little clusters. The herbalist gets herbs, which citizens can use to kind of supplement a poor diet, and as well as, you know, stave off any sort of basic illnesses. I mean, they need a hospital for sort of the really nasty ones, but just generally keeping these little hearts filled up, because they won't have a great diet to begin with. They're going to have venison, berries, and maybe some fish if they're really, you know, really lucky on a Friday. Some things that I'll need to build before too long are a blacksmith who makes tools. We've got 11 in reserve at the moment, but they will run out. Obviously he needs iron and I think wood to do that. We have a tailor who makes clothes. He can either make them out of leather from the deer or wool from the sheep that we haven't got yet. There's a brewer who makes people happy, and then sort of advanced buildings would be a mine and a quarry. These require quite a lot of citizens to be productive. I think the default is 15 workers. I'm not sure if that's the optimum, but just putting 1 or 2 workers in this, you just get a trickle, you know, 1 or 2 a month type, a season rather. Resources coming in is not going to be much use. I mean, they cost quite a lot to build as well. So to start with, you're better off just selecting stuff on the ground, saying go and harvest that now. It's only in a mountainous region where you have basically harvested almost everything that's available, and you want to kind of get some more stuff, basically, because you'll need to build a mine or a quarry in order to do that, because there won't be anything on the map left for you to just tell them to go and pick up. This is getting a bit slow. I don't know if it's because I zoomed out. Let's try zooming in. My PC is doing something. So, let's get them building stuff. Easier said than done. He's slow to a bit of a crawl here. Just look at the speed. I think I'll end it here and check that I'm not doing a backup, because it's got a bit ridiculous. So until next time, goodbye.